Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. I'm Ayesee, back with my third RepCast. Going to be coming out a day late because I was a little preoccupied over the weekend with the D2L and our final playoffs. Of course, once again, congratulations to Empire for sealing that up and, yeah, walking away $5,000 richer. EG came in second, Dignitas third, and Zero fourth. But enough about that. Talking about a little bit of Asian Dota this morning. We've got DK taking on LGD Gaming. This is from the recently completed G1 League Finals. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And LD did a great job casting that. I actually did not get to watch this series. I was preoccupied with other things. So I get to cast this freshly without having seen any of these games. And again, I'll have links to where you can watch the original broadcast of this down at the bottom in the video description. So if you like what I do, but you want to hear LD do it, make sure you check that out. Or if you hate what I do and you're like, damn, wish I could just have another caster cast this for me, you're going to have plenty competent caster and a good buddy of mine to listen to on that. And so anyway, back to this. We've got LGD taking on DK. And DK is legendary as it gets in terms of Dota, especially in terms of Chinese Dota. It just doesn't get more hard-hitting than when you're talking about Burning. I mean, Burning is just a fan favorite the world over. He's pretty much, and there was actually a bit of a war fought on a couple of forums I saw about this, calling Burning the Asian Dindy, or should it be Dindy is the Western Burning and all that. We're not going to get into that. Let's just say Burning's a player you want to watch. He's very talented. He's very fun to watch and a blast to cast. So the picks and the bans coming out pretty quickly. TA and Bad Rider banned out by LGD. DK going to be taking out the Undying and the Night Stalker, first picking the Rubik. Now, one thing that stands out about this, and granted, I haven't casted Asian Dota in quite some time. The last time I was able to cast Asian Dota was, of course, at the International, but even going further back from that, we did Monthly Madness Asia when I was still working with its Gosu. And I got to cast DK and LGD gaming at that point as well. So, but Rubik pretty much has fallen off really, really hard in North American and European Dota. You'll still see him picked, especially for some teams like Zero, places a very high value on the hero in general. And he's still as good as he's always been. It's not as if he got hit with a gigantic nerf or anything. Just the way the meta has somewhat shifted in terms of Western Dota, again, the North American and European scenes, has given him a much, much smaller priority for a lot of squads. And usually we'll see him go all the way through the pick and the ban phase, not being picked or banned, which again is bizarre whenever you flashback just a few months ago. Or if he is picked, it's usually going to be in the second phase, except by teams like Zero, again, who really just value him a lot higher than some other squads in the same regions do. Anyway, LGD going to go ahead and bounce back with Magnus and Jakiro. We've seen the Magnosaurus really rise in popularity, in fact, over the weekend. Saw Magnus play a lot during the D2L playoffs, valued especially highly by EG in particular. Demon has kind of made a name for himself as one of the premier players of that hero in Western Dota, and we've seen just everything he can do to just mess up what your game plan might happen to be, and especially his potency when paired with certain heroes. Finn is really the one that comes to mind the most, but the truth is, any kind of hard-hitting carry in the later stages of the mid-game as well as on into the late game, just because of his Empower, the fact that that gives cleave damage, not to mention the other bonuses it grants, means Magnus can basically take any composition that has someone who's going to be doing a lot of damage in the, again, the later stages of the mid-game and late game, and allow that to synergize well with reverse polarity and, of course, the shockwave, which, you know, you don't talk a lot about that spell because it's spammed a lot. It's one of Magnus's strengths in lane. But especially in the mid-game, it still remains such a potent nuke. Just does so much damage when max level. So you land one good reverse polarity, then you skewer who you've happened to catch back towards your team. You throw out the shockwave on the way. And yeah, you're talking a lot of burst damage all at once, setting things up perfectly for your carry. Back to DK, another hero who has fallen off extremely hard in the Western scene in North America and Europe is Invoker. Invoker is so very rarely picked and played now, and this is really fun for me. Again, I didn't even look at the picks and bans. I just kind of went by the thumbs up votes on the tournament ticker here. And I am casting from the Dota TV replay. So I went to that and just kind of downloaded the replay and got going really quickly. But I'm already really excited out of what we're seeing out of DK. Rubik and Invoker, heroes that, again, Rubik I've casted less. Invoker, I want to say I haven't casted an Invoker in at least a month, if not longer. And that again, so bizarre if you've been following the way the Dota 2 metagame has shifted over the last 2 or 3 months. We could talk a bit about Jakiro if we want to, but I mean, I think all that has been said about the hero, all has been said that needs to be said. Following his buff in 6.75, and of course, the complete remake of Ice Path, he's just one of the best all-purpose heroes in the game. And I'll tell you something, and it's not going to come into play here, but I do want to mention it just because I got a real good look at it over the weekend again in the D2L playoffs. Jakiro matches up one-on-one against the Templar Assassin in mid surprisingly well. You can actually skip putting a single point in the Ice Path if you want to just focus up the Dual Breath and the Liquid Fire. And he can actually create a lot of problems for a TA. And of course, LGD having banned TA out makes it irrelevant this time. Just want to point that out while I have a chance, because I was really, really interested to see the way that panned out right in front of my eyes over the weekend. So, pick phase is done. In the first phase, we're going to have Magnus, Jakiro, and Luna picked up by LGD Gaming. We'll talk about Luna in a moment. Rubik, Leshrac, and Invoker taken by DK. Now, one thing that's worth mentioning, if you're a fan of DK and, of course, of Burning, no one really for him yet when you look at who they've picked up. I mean, I'm sure he could play any of these heroes, but usually you're going to have Burning on an extremely farm-dependent hero, like a Luna, for example. So back to Luna. Luna does pretty well in the early laning phase, and that's one reason you'll see her picked up occasionally in the first pick phase instead of allowing her to slip later on. It really depends on what your game plan is going to be. She functions quite well as a very hard carry. She is extremely easy to kill early on before she gets up to BKB, but because of Eclipse and because of the Lucent Beam, she can actually give you a little bit of punch, not just in lane, but honestly, kind of as a ganker. Like, you're not going to play her as a ganker, but if she's able to run with 1 or 2 in a smoke gank or something like that and catch out and create these isolated engagements when her ult is off cooldown, she can just do this mass amount of damage so long as she has adequate levels under her belt. And that's really the #1 priority with her, is keeping her alive, allowing her to farm, and allowing her to level up, much like a hard carry. So even though she has some strengths outside of just being able to scale really well into the late game, you really got to coddle her a bit, because she has no inherent escape mechanism, and she can be very easy to punish if you have a good movement and you're able to create pressure points all over the map to force movement out of the team that's trying to protect that Luna. So the bans continue. We're going to have Void and Druid taken out by LGD Gaming, Queen of Pain and Brewmaster taken out by DK, and we can already see trying to free up a lot of space for that Invoker, who almost certainly will be going mid. With TA already gone, the Bat already gone, Brewmaster and Queen of Pain, you're talking 4 extremely high value mid heroes that are not going to be seen, and DK ready to capitalize on that completely and just free up that Invoker to hopefully free farm. And one reason Invoker kind of fell off a bit is he did get hit a little with the nerf hammer. His early laning is just kind of iffy now. He had the damage reduction, and he's still really good at what he's always been really good at, but you just can't count on him to win mid lane like you used to be able to do so. Avenge going to be taken out by DK, so an interesting ban there. And waiting on the final ban. There goes the Anti-Mage. I was going to say, we'll see if they're going to risk giving Burning an Anti-Mage. And again, just coming back, and I haven't casted Asian Dota in a while, and that Enigma pick doesn't surprise anyone, I don't think. Seeing the Venge ban out just frees that up completely. And Beastmaster's still in the pool, but that's going to kind of pigeonhole LGD if they want to do that. And one of the weaknesses of Beastmaster is, I mean, mid Beastmaster once in an extremely blue moon, you'll see that that played. But when you see a Beastmaster picked, it's pretty much all, yep, and there it is. Okay, so the Beastmaster, we know exactly what they're going to be laning right now. They're going to have Luna protected with a Jakiro. They're going to be looking to pick up their last support and most likely send the Magnus mid. Magnus really unspectacular in any role except mid, and especially now with the Beastmaster, no possibility to kind of change things up and send him long lane. We see that once in a while. Send the Magnus long lane, allow him to rely on Skewer as an escape mechanism. He can try to suck up some levels, but it feels a lot like a long lane Tidehunter whenever you do that. And of course, that comes with its own strengths and weaknesses. If you, in a lot of cases, you're just going to be zoned out, and you have to play very risky, risk dying. And if you die once or twice, just trying to get up close enough to get experience, you're going to be miles behind. Now, looking at DK's lineup, what stands out to me right now is they do not have a whole lot of early punching power. I mean, Leshrac's going to be able to bring some damage to bear, no matter what he levels, be it Edict or be it the Lightning. But, I mean, he still is pretty easy to kill and to pick off early. Invoker going to be the same thing. They're really going to be relying on him to give them a lot of mid-game stability. Rubik excels at a lot of things, but again, early game, he's very much a capitalize on the other team's mistakes sort of a hero, as opposed to a take charge sort of a hero. Speaking of take charge, Sven got to fit into that, and I was kind of wondering if they were going to let LGD pick him up And this is the one thing I hate about solo casting. There's so much to try and cover that you talk as fast as you can. Didn't have a chance to get that out, but Sven Magnus, as mentioned when Magnus was picked up, just so lethal. And DK's opting to take Sven. And, I mean, Sven's going to fit in with what they're doing. I mean, Black Hole serves the same function that Reverse Polarity can. In terms of setting Sven up, once he pops the God Strength, to just start cleaving entire teams in half, not to mention the follow-up out of Split Earth. Once that Split Earth is maxed in level out of Leshrac, you're going to have the Black Hole followed by the Split Earth. That's a lot to hold those heroes in place to allow Sven to just absolutely do work. Keeper of the Light, going to be the last pickup from LGD Gaming. So, yeah, I'm rather interested to see how they're going to lane this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Jakiro, Keeper of the Light, and Luna. In the tri-lane, going to have to be a defensive tri-lane. Luna just really not that good of a hero in any other sort of a tri-lane, with the Beastmaster long and the Magnus mid. For DK, Enigma, he can long lane, but pretty much it's a waste to send him anywhere except the jungle. The fastest jungler in the game, able to really capitalize on being left alone. If he's left alone at all, he is going to get up his core items very quickly. You're going to see an extremely fast Soul Ring, an extremely fast level 6 for his Black Hole, not to mention how important it is to get to level 3 with your demonic conversion. Just gives you so much pushing power early on and really lets you set the tone and the pace of the game so long as you want to push. So we'll see how the lanes are going to take shape, but first and foremost, how about we run through our lineups? We're going to have Kung Fu Panda playing on our Rubik from the side of DK. Super going to be handling our Invoker. Enigma going to be handled by QQQ. Sven, no surprise, going to be farmed by the Chief Farmer himself, by Burning. Leshrac going to be handled by MMY, and on the side of LGD, going to have Zhao 8 playing our Beastmaster. Luna going to be played by Sylar, and we'll talk a bit about Sylar momentarily. DDC going to be handling our two-headed dragon Jakiro. Going to have SC playing on our Keeper of the Light, and Magnus going to be handled by Yao. So, at the International, and again, I think I've harped on enough about it now, Burning is just known as one of the best farmers in the history of Dota. He's a guy that if you've kept up, and again, I'm relatively new to the scene, and even I get excited any chance I get to cast Burning or to watch Burning play. But Sylar really made a name for himself leading up to the International, but especially at the International, just as good a farmer, and someone that is just as high value a carry player as you're ever going to see. So, going to be a bit of the battle of the farm, and I think that's what a lot of Dota fans are going to be looking forward to see who can capitalize on what their team's going to be able to open up for them. So the lanes are taking shape a little bit. And back to DK's lineup. Again, I think the Enigma's going to pretty much have, yeah, we see QQQ making his way all the way to the Radiant jungle now, so that fits with that, the Invoker mid. Rubik hanging. This could be a long lane Rubik potentially. I mean, I was kind of curious who they were going to run there. Nope, they're just going to abandon the long lane, and I like this a lot. We've been seeing this happen once in a while, and I think Panda, is he going to go ahead and try to stack here? Is he going to make his way all the way down here? We'll keep an eye on him for now, though. What we're going to want to watch, and I'm actually surprised to see the Magnus over here by himself. This is very risky out of LGD. If they're able to zone the Magnus out, it just really lowers his efficacy so much, and that's a good skewer. I didn't get too excited about that because, again, his damage output, he's going to be able to harass MMY down a little bit. But, yeah, now he's going to be telekinesed, and, ooh, Split Earth off the mark. Bad shading of the skills together, a little miscommunication out of DK. Could have possibly done a bit more damage. But now, with Panda over here, and we can already see the strength of telekinesis, and we talk about this a lot in other broadcasts. Telekinesis in the early game is just such a fantastic pick-off sort of a skill to punish anyone for being so much as one step too far forward. You grab them, pull them towards you, and just look at the stuns they have to line this up. If they land a telekinesis on Yao, they're going to be able to follow it with the Stormhammer out of Burning. Split Earth going to be easy to chain up after that. Shouldn't see too many more misses like we did momentarily, or we did moments ago, rather. So he's going to have to be real careful, and if they can zone him out, keep him down in levels, and especially delay his Blink Dagger, then all of a sudden the Magnus becomes a much smaller factor than you really need him to be if you're in LGD shoes. And wow, oh, good skewer there. Much better executed than the other one. Manages to bring Panda all the way back to the Tier 1 bottom. Get a few tower shots and damage done. So we're going to leave this be for the moment. Focus on other things. Enigma, again, is in the jungle. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Super's up to. He's already got 2 points into Exhort. So he is going to be going a straight-up Exhort Invoker build. I'm sure he'll be getting a point into Quas momentarily. But that's a risky choice as well. But it makes a lot of sense when you look at the lineup that he has with him. He's going to have, again, all those stuns to line up to line up those Sunstrikes. He's going to have Stormhammer, Split Earth, not to mention Malefice out of QQQ. That certainly helps. Telekinesis to start a lot of these fights. And yeah, I think a lot of DK's success early on is going to be not just relying on Super getting a good start here against Zhao 8, who's playing the Beastmaster, returning to mid, a role in which we haven't seen a Beastmaster play that commonly lately. But he's going to have good farm. He's going to have a good start. He's also going to have to hit some early Sunstrikes if and when DK decides to start being active and start applying even more pressure out of the strength of this bottom lane that they have. I really do like the fact that they've left Rubik down there. And I was going to touch on this a bit, just got a little preoccupied. Whenever you have an Enigma jungling in a tri-lane, even though it's just against a solo lane Magnus, it really does make your tri-lane weak in terms of punching power. He's very predictable in terms of when he's going to come out usually. And if he comes out too early with just a level 1 or level 2 Malefice, he's really not even that threatening. So, by putting the Rubik down here, rotating him back and forth from mid, speaking of, hold that thought, we got a smoke up here out of Kung Fu Panda and MMY. Let's see if they're going to try to capitalize on this. And this, again, is one of the reasons why Beastmaster in mid has kind of been abandoned, or at least is certainly nowhere near as common. He has no inherent escape mechanism. And if he gets caught out, he's caught out hard. And here we go. Panda's going to move in. Telekinesis going to drop him right back down. Follow-up Split Earth. The Edict is popped. There's a Cold Snap as well. Zhao 8 looking for safety. There's the Sunstrike. He's going to drop. Give Super our first blood. That's exactly what they need out of that Invoker. They spent so many bans trying to open up that middle lane and make sure that he was going to be a big factor. And we're already beginning to see early on just how much punching power DK's lineup have. We got a real good look at that with that early point going into Quas to secure the Cold Snap for Super. And yeah, Zhao 8 now going to be playing from behind. He is level 5, roughly the same as Invoker. He's actually a little bit ahead in experience, which is a bit surprising, using those axes to zone him out and do some good damage. And we're going to have a pause, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward the video. We'll catch you right after this pause. And we're back after that short pause. Lasted a couple of minutes. Looks like there was just some kind of connection issue, and it has been resolved. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I actually can't remember exactly what I was talking about, but I'm pretty sure it focused on this guy right here, talking about Super. And Zhao 8 going up against him. Zhao 8 has actually been getting a really good amount of experience. His last hits are... Oh, wow. He's actually last hitting the Invoker right now, which is truly impressive, as is the fact that they managed to pick off the Magnus. So sorry we missed that kill there. But that kind of has to be expected, again, as this tri-lane, in the quad lane, really, with Enigma in the jungle. Enigma not even a part of that. As this quad lane continues to level itself up, Magnus's life is just going to get more and more difficult. Let's take a look at where the big guy is so far. He's at level 2. So, I mean, he's getting some experience. He is not completely and utterly zoned out. But the question is it worth it to have given Sylar completely an unfettered free farm? I mean, he and Sven are close, so it isn't as if Burning's suffering too badly. But 34 last hits to 29. And Luna, even more farm dependent in a lot of ways than a Sven happens to be. That's why we see Sven picked so often for offensive tri-lanes at this point. I mean, obviously you want to farm him as comfortably as you can, as often as you can. And they're actually going to go ahead and teleport the Rubik up to top now after he's managed to get himself a few levels by hanging out in that tri-lane. But Sven's God Strength acts as a very good mitigating factor in terms of making up for poor starts. We've seen it time and time again. Sven's get off to a poor start either because they just lose their lane or they're an offensive tri-lane, so he can't really farm when he's more focused on trying to cause... Oh, wow. I'm going to guess they just got another kill as QQQ came out of the jungle, so sorry to miss that one as well. But this is just this kind of a lineup. I should probably be giving a lot more attention to this. And I guess I'm just assuming that Magnus is going to be playing back, and this, again, is what worried me coming in. Yao's playing ultra-aggressive now. He has to be. I mean, to be getting caught out this often with Skewer available to him, he's just not giving this tri-lane the respect that I think it deserves at this stage of the game. Jakiro does manage to get the last hit on the tower at the top, so we already see LGD beginning to pour the pressure on. DK wants to return the favor, rattling their saber down below this tier 1 bottom. Here we go. Here comes Zhao 8. And there's a lot of damage being done. Here comes Zhao 8. He's going to go ahead and hit the roar on QQQ. QQQ is going to be picked off as Keeper of the Light gets the last hit. MMY and Burning having to make a run for it. Warcry going to help with that. Here comes Zhao, using the skewer to try and pursue them down, unable to do so. So LGD, after giving up 3 deaths, finally on the board as they manage to kill off the Enigma. The tower still standing, most importantly, but in the meantime, Sylar continues to farm up and apply pressure to this top lane as well. So, taking an early look at the gold graph, we can see that looks very violent, like it's a very, very big gap between these two teams. It's actually just how small a gap it is that makes it look that way. Hang on, gonna have an initiation on Yao. Another Sunstrike comes in, and yeah, you just can't do that if you're a Magnus in the long lane. And this is, again, why I feel like Magnus would have benefited so much more. I mean, and they're not doing poorly, don't get me wrong. It isn't as if they're way behind because of this. We just took a look at the gold graph. Of course, that's going to get a little bit bigger in favor of DK momentarily. But if you sit in the Beastmaster long lane, at the very least, you can stack agents instead of just taking death after death after death. And Magnus, yeah, he's going to be very late with the Blink Dagger. He's going to be very late to 6 now. And Yao just, again, playing way too aggressive. Speaking of aggressive, we'll find out if this is way too aggressive or not. Zhao 8 and DDC are smoked up, making their way over towards top lane. They want to catch Kung Fu Panda. And here we go. Gonna dive him under the tower. Little body block attempt. Doesn't matter. There's the war follow-up. Ice Path and Sylar there to add a kill to his total. So 50 last hits, and now with a kill on the board. Not too shabby. Leader in kills, 2-0-1. That's going to be our Invoker. No real surprise there. Been getting those kills via long-range Sunstrikes. And it looks like LGD actually might want to go ahead and try to force a reaction out of DK. This Tier 2 top. They're going to force the Glyph at the very least. Magnus has rotated to mid, so we can see he's had enough of being zoned out. He's actually going to be engaged upon. Yeah, and again, we'll talk. Yeah, it looks like we're not going to have too much action elsewhere. Skewer, as good as an escape mechanism as it can be, is much better. Well, Burning, ooh, barely going to dodge that. Now trying to chase SC down. He's going to have to TP out. And yeah, he manages to make it out. Burning had just enough mana for a Stormhammer, unable to spend it though. But Skewer for Magnus is just a much more effective escape mechanism in mid, just because you don't have that much ground to cover. There's not so much open area through which your opponents can move to try and hem you in. And again, just against the tri-lane he was up against, if he got caught by one stun, he was going to get caught by them all 9 times out of 10. He dodged the bullet very early on. But, yeah, not lucky enough to do that. We can already see he's died 3 times and sitting at level 4. Getting this mid-farm certainly helping a bit. He's up to level 5. But he only has Tier 1 boots, a magic stick, and a stout shield. And only 500 gold in the bank, so again, he is quite a ways off from having his Blink Dagger. And compare that, say, to QQQ, who's now level 7, has Black Hole, already has Soul Ring up as well as his boots, and it looks like they're going to try and get something out of it. As they do smoke up, Panda and QQQ joining Super in mid here. They're going to go and take the long way around up near the Ancients. In the meantime, the rest of LGD continuing to secure that farm for Sylar, which is really what they need to be doing. If they have the freedom to do this, and even again, allowing Burning to farm up, and it looks like he is going to be getting a very early armlet, as he has picked up the Helm of Iron Will. Yep, there comes the Gloves of Haste, so it will be an armlet for sure. And that's becoming pretty common as well. Though usually you'll see something like Drum's Mask of Madness. But the armlet choice, not bad. Hang on, we're going to have Zhao engaged. Kung Fu Panda dies. QQQ has to try and retreat. The rest of LGD's there. And they may want to push off of that. That's going to be 10 seconds, he's down. And they're going to move up to the high ground. Now looking to apply pressure to this Tier 1 mid. Valkyrie the Axes, a little bit of spam. That's one thing they do have that I haven't really said a whole lot about. Their sheer ability spam to do damage in AoE is gigantic. Super's going to drop the rock. Here goes Zhao, going to dive out. Eidolon's going to be doing good damage, though. Going to be caught with a cold snap, trying to retreat to safety with his team. Here comes the Fade Bolt. Axes out. There's Illuminate doing good damage. And LGD, oh, SC's going to get caught. He's going to drop for sure. QQQ's there. He's got a black hole if he wants to spend it. Not going to be the case. Taking a little Lucent Beam spam from Sylar. But all in all, coming out ahead. In the meantime, Burning is doing work over on the bottom lane. Back to the last hits. He's now leading Sylar, sitting at 62 with 29 denies and pushing towards that Tier 2. That's going to force a reaction out of LGD. And yeah, they didn't manage to get this mid tower. 5-3 the lead now for DK. Sylar back to farming as well. And he is going to be going the Zoe build. He has gotten up the Tranquil Boots. Now he's going to rush out that BKB. After that, it's kind of up to him what he wants to build. He's going to have the option to go Helm of Iron, excuse me. Yeah, he's going to have the option to go Helm of the Dominator, which of course has a Helm of the Iron Will in it. But build that on into a straight-up Satanic if he wants afterwards, or you can go something like a Manta. But a lot of options open, and one reason that build has become so very popular on Luna is just keeps your options open. The Tranquil Boots help you out so far as being able to keep you viable, allow you to move across the map very quickly, and stay on the map, being able to heal up after engagements, and just continue with your farm and make sure you're not spending a lot of time in the well, either due to dumb deaths or due to just having to run back or TP back to heal up. Zhao 8 has smoked back up again. Looks like Jakiro is under the smoke as well. They want to try and punish Kung Fu Panda one more time. Here he comes. He's going to have a roar, and he's going to be telekinesis before he can use it. Ice Pass going to catch him, though. Roar from long distance. TP reaction going to come out. Dual Breath going to be there with one auto attack to secure the kill. Off goes the ulti from Sylar, and Eclipse secures the kill for LGD. They're all tied up 5-5. Super wants to pay the favor back now. Uses the cold snap on DDC. MMY is there as well. DDC taking a lot of damage. Here comes Magnus, and big reverse polarity. Catches a couple, and that's going to add 2 more kills to their total. All told, DK drops 4 in that engagement in exchange for the 1 of LGD. And LGD going to be quite happy to go ahead and pour it on this tier 2 top. They're going to get a free tower for it, so that's a big, big turnaround for LGD. And most importantly, the people who need the kills are getting them. They've got 3 on the Beastmaster. Getting him off to a good start is going to allow him to rush up an Ags and increase the effective range on that roar, which they're using so darn effectively just to set things up for Magnus. Magnus is making up some ground now. He's got his arc boots up. He's about halfway to his blink dagger, which again, just such a huge item. You really want to use that skewer as part of your combination as opposed to just setting up the reverse polarity if you have the chance to do so. So LGD living large and in charge. Burning has been pretty much a non-factor so far, and this is kind of Burning's playstyle. And there are some who agree that it's a great playstyle. Some think there are detractors who think that if you're going to be playing as Finn especially, and I can see both sides of the argument. Finn is very much a lane dominator, mid-game oriented hero. He could scale very well into the late game, especially whenever he has a good supporting cast, which he certainly has. But we just haven't seen a whole lot out of him. He's been focusing almost entirely on farm to this point. And the weakness is, Luna has been a lot more active, has been getting some kills, and yeah, it's 76 to 72, so she's hanging with him, even though Burning is focusing almost entirely on farm to the detriment of these early team fights. For example, he could have easily TP'd in there if he really wanted to do so, to try and force that fight over near the tier 2 top, instead of opting to just focus on what he's known for, again, that farming. Let's take a look at our goal graph, see where things stand, and I love that. Whenever you're this deep into a game, and granted, it's still the early game, but we're 14 minutes in and just hovering near 0 in terms of gold, so very even exchanges out of both squads. LGD, of course, making up a lot of ground with that last exchange up at top, not only getting the kills and wiping most of DK off the map, but also managing to get themselves a tier 2 tower, just getting themselves back into the running. Now, Luna versus Finn in the late game. You should probably talk a little bit about that, because if it stays like it is now, very even, we are going to see a late game between these two. Luna, again, a much harder carry in the purest sense. She's an agility hero who's going to scale extremely well, not to mention her passives, the glaives, and allowing her to turn what normally for most heroes would be just really strong right click into really strong right click that happens to damage everything that happens to be standing there, be it towers, be it racks, be it creeps, be it enemy heroes, whatever. Once those glaives start bouncing, that's a lot of damage that comes out. And you can, of course, factor in lifesteal into that to give her survivability, along with a BKB to give her the punching power she's going to need to try and shut down Burning on Sven. Now, talking about Sven, God Strength, again, the great equalizer, gives him a lot of punching power in the mid-game, allows him to peak a little bit earlier than a Luda might in most cases. Just because, I mean, doubling up your damage, it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal, as you can imagine. Even at early levels, God Strength just allows him to chew through the enemy team in just a truly alarming way. Not to mention Warcry, once it's maxed out, plus 16 armor to himself and his teammates. Pretty big freaking deal. And, of course, Cleave, allowing him to do the same thing that Luna can do, which is just chew through the enemy team over time. Sunstrike checking into the Roche pit. Nothing so far. A lot of passivity now at this stage of the game as we approach 16 minutes in. But at this point, what you kind of got to focus on, or at least what stands out to me, is that DK's lineup excels in most ways. I mean, you've got Black Hole, that's all well and good. But with Beastmaster on the other side, you cannot count on Black Hole to be the be-all, end-all of your initiation and your ability to set up huge team fights. And you're just not going to see a squad like LGD make the mistake of having Zhao 8 in the wrong position. I mean, he's going to want a Blink Dagger at some point. He is getting his Ags up, and that's kind of what I expected, why it was such a good thing for him to get those kills early, just to increase the effective range of the Roar. Hang on, hold that thought. Looks like LGD wants to take a tower. They're going to be able to do so. Give that last hit to Luna. Magnus has completed his Blink Dagger in the meantime. We'll see if I'm going to have time to finish my harangue as to the initiation advantage. But, they're going to catch Super. Super caught from the high ground with the Roar. Just look at him melt. The pure AoE spam coming out of LGD. The mech's able to get them back in fighting condition very quickly. And they may not abandon this. With Invoker down, and again, such Invoker just so high value for what DK is going to want to do in terms of trying to counter-initiate at some point or another, even though he has gone Exort. They need him here, not just for damage, but to try and just have something to shut LGD down, because the abilities that they have and the way they can chain them together is just absurd. They are going to go ahead and retreat as Burning was applying pressure to the Tier 2 top. Burning's farm continues to be solid. He's at 97 last hits at 17.5 minutes in. But that's not super spectacular. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it isn't heart-stopping by any stretch of the imagination. And then you look at Sylar, he's about 10 behind. And given how much more active on the map Sylar has been, how much more of a factor Sylar has been in this game for his squad, can't help but feel like Burning might be squandering the strength of his hero just a little bit here. It looks like they're going to change that as they do smoke up. A lot of wards down right now from LGD. If you take a look at the ward spots, you can see those three right there, basically just cutting that entire map, that entire side of the map off from being any sort of real danger in terms of where DK could initiate from, outside of smoke, of course. But DK is moving up in that direction. Not going to find anyone. The entire squad of LGD is actually near the Roche pin right now. They might actually be thinking Roche. And while these two teams are separated, I do want to talk again about what's going to be an emerging factor, I believe. LGD just has such an initiation advantage, it is absurd. Between the ice path to set things up, the long-distance roar from the Ags that is now complete by LGD. And they're just going to go ahead and trade Tier 1s, by the way, so not a whole lot to talk about in that regard. But you can't underestimate how important reverse polarity is. It goes through BKB, most importantly. And with the Beastmaster, again, who LGD is just not going to allow him to be out of position. They're not, I mean, if they do, it'll be a huge mistake. Keeping him near the back of the fight, his whole job is going to be to either start fights whenever they are 100% confident they're going to win, or to sit in the back of the fight and wait for Enigma to show his face and to try to black hole. He's going to blink in and roar immediately. And once that's done, just about the entire mass AoE initiation out of DK is going to be nullified. They excelled in lane. When you look at the heroes they had selected, Rubik, really good single-target initiation with telekinesis. Sven, really good small AoE initiation with the Stormhammer. Leshrac, really solid follow-up with the Split Earth, and so on and so on. Maleficent, same thing, single target. They are really good at single-target initiation, single-target disables, and what have you. They just don't have what it's going to take, though, to try and shut down a Magnus, who now has a Blink Dagger, with a Beastmaster ready to kill any kind of counter-initiation or even flat-out fight-starting power that Enigma might have. So I worry for their chances here. I'm not going to say they're out of it, just because DK has shown us through superior movement and positioning that they can beat any team on the planet on any given day. But as the laning phase has worked out, I do feel as if Burning's choice of Sven, and again, Sven's an awesome hero, and he's going to scale well into the late game. I don't know that they got enough out of Sven to really justify it, and to justify how much they lost in the meantime. I mean, LGD was off to a pretty poor start. I mean, Zhao 8 performed better in mid than he had any business performing, so that was a great individual performance out of him. Sylar and Sven, and Sylar was actually behind Sven in farm for a long, long time, and is now behind. That gap's getting a bit bigger. But the Magnus had a really poor start. But DK has just kind of let that go, because LGD has been moving more as a cohesive unit, while Burning has more or less occupied this bottom lane. Speaking of, he's going to go red and start banging away on the Tier 2 bottom. Here comes TP reaction. In the meantime, Zhao 8's got an invis. He's going to go ahead and roar QQQ. Here comes the follow-up Ice Path, long range. Down comes the rock. Magnus is there. Gonna catch two. That's QQQ and Super. Both are just gonna melt in the face of this AoE. The big eclipse out of Sylar. BKB complete as well. And where is Burning? Again, this is the problem. Burning, you've got to be here for these fights. What a great shockwave out of Yao. Spamming it out and adding one more kill to their total. Burning, farming fine. He's doing great in that regard. But they are suffering so much, because LGD is just catching them out in these 4-on-5 engagements, and I have not felt Sven's influence in this game at all. We are 21.5 minutes into this game, Burning. You've got a BKB and an armlet, that's great, but where are you? You've got to be in these fights. In the meantime, Zhao 8's pulled all the way back. We can already see he's actually going for a vitality booster next, so we'll see what he wants to opt to pick up. If he goes for a heart, I will deuce myself. But I would really expect a Blink Dagger. But I guess at this point, you've got the Ags, you've got the range. Why invest the 2100 when you can just be more tanky? But 6-11, LGD nearly doubling up DK at this point. The gold just a little over 2,000. Experience is much closer. So it's still a very close game, don't get me wrong. But again, Sylar, just look at his inventory. He's already gone up the BKB. He is going to be going for the Manta style. He's got the Aegis. Aegis wasn't even burned there, and they managed to take one of the last 2 remaining outer tier towers for DK pretty much unopposed. That's to say nothing of the completely unopposed Roshan they took. And again, you look at burning, I mean, Armlet's a great item, BKB very necessary to make sure Sven can't be kited. But what's he going to do if he's caught by reverse polarity? BKB's not going to save him from that. They've got so much damage they're going to be able to do just between Sylar. And the AoE spam, of course, going to be nullified by the BKB, so that's going to help in that regard. But they have got to win a fight. They are in very real danger of losing relevancy in this game if they don't take a big fight and take it soon. 3 outer tier towers remain for LGD, just the 1 from DK. And just look how aggressive the warding is here. Can't draw in replay mode, I hate that. But the 2 wards that are down here in mid lane, just keeping an eye on DK. And it's very, very smart play, really. To say, you know what, we may want to push there, so we're going to drop these wards when it's safe to do so and keep an eye on them. Hang on. Look, and now Burning's going to lose a lot of health, barely dodges that ice path. And he's got to be careful. I mean, he has to be face-up leading these fights in a lot of cases. But if he's slow on the BKB trigger, he's going to lose a lot of health in a lot of cases. And yeah, DK just being spammed back, basically. He's already back up in good shape, so not acting as if it was the biggest deal that he took that spell in the face. But it just illustrates the point, I think, is more. What excited me is seeing exactly how strong LGD's team is, both defensively and offensively. And that's probably a good point to touch on as well. They have built a squad here that is extremely well-rounded. They've got a lot of long range of initiation, be it Ice Path, be it Skewer into reverse polarity or blink into reverse polarity. They've got the long range roar from Zhao 8, and he's just going to get tankier and tankier. He's actually got a Vlad's up to help his team now as well. And yeah, it's worrisome. It is very worrisome if you're DK. You have to be real careful, and this is one reason why this style of play that DK is showing us, which is very defensive and just kind of putting all your eggs in one basket, just allowing one hero to farm up immensely. It's very risky. Very risky. Well, we have a moment. I've been talking a lot about LGD. Let's talk a bit about DK and see what they've got. Yule Scepter going to be up on Super. Pretty solid choice. He's got the point booster, so one would think he's probably going to be working towards an Aghanim Scepter. We'll see how much he values his ability to change spells just that much quickly. Rubik's got his 4 staffs. I mean, their supports have some decent items. Mechanism up on QQQ with 2,000 in the bank, so he's making some progress. He's not far from a BKB if that's what he wants, but again, even that doesn't really help against Beastmaster's War to take him out of the black hole, so that's an iffy choice. Sven, he's got an armlet, he's got a BKB, and pretty typical stuff. 1,800 gold in the bank. You look at his health, 1,600 is not terribly bad. But the armlet, I wonder how effective that's going to prove to be in the long run. I feel like maybe he might have gotten a little bit more longevity for the cost out of his drums if he had built drums. But anyway, just theory crafting at this point. I mean, DK is still not out of this entirely, so the Blink Dagger is out from Enigma, so that's certainly going to help a bit. I was wondering if that was going to be his next item, or if he was just going to kind of rely on waddling into the fight. And focus on another items and focus on magic immunity and just hope that his team can pick off the Beastmaster, or they can catch a situation where Beastmaster will have already used his roar. And that would actually have been very viable if he'd opted to skip the Blink Dagger and go for a BKB instead. It would have made sense because right now Zhao 8 is the primary initiation out of LGD. He's roaring very early. He's actually not holding on to it too terribly long in these fights. But anyway. Oh, wow. What a roar. Roared the courier and the blink up from Yao, the skewer down, the victory lap. And yeah, that was one of the cheekiest little maneuvers I've ever seen pulled off in Dota. It took me a minute. I had the camera there and saw the roar come out. I was like, what's he roaring? And yep, then you see a disabled courier. So Zhao 8, good Dota knowledge, says, you know what? That courier is mine. Give our team a little bit extra. Basically another tower in terms of the gold they gained from that. But anyway. Still 3,000 gold separating the squads at 26.5 minutes, which is not bad in the least. And in fact, the experience is actually in favor of the Radiant. So we can see the farming power of Burning beginning to show itself. And if you just look at the last hits, haven't talked a whole lot about that. He's sitting at 200. to the 159 of Luna at this stage. So he is getting the job done. Kills, obviously, they're nearly doubled up, so there's not a whole lot to talk about there. Net worth, though, and this is, again, the problem. All that farm from Sven is excellent, but LGD has accomplished so many other goals. They have been able to pick off couriers, to take down a lot of extra towers. They took the Roshan, that the net worth is actually favoring LGD. And granted, it's not the biggest gulf, but Luna, despite being behind 50 last hits, is still on top of the net worth graph, and Beastmaster, of all people, is actually in second. And the Invoker coming up after that. But yeah, when you look at it, for the top 6, so 2/3 of the top 6 heroes on the map in net worth right now belong to LGD. And again, that's due in large part to their success elsewhere on the map. And we see Sunstrike checking the Roshan. Rosh going to be back up in what appears to be just about 2 or 3 minutes. So they may just turtle this out at this point. Just play it very, very safe. Ghost Scepter now picked up on SC. Going to keep him alive a little bit longer. DDC has a Ghost Scepter as well, so that's their big goal, is just to keep these heroes alive through all of that cleave damage the DK is going to be able to pour on with Sven. And again, that's you can't write that off. I mean, Bernie, now he's got a Crystallis, so he is going to be going straight up crit. And I've seen it happen a number of times. Even well-farmed, well-fed supports, like a DDC with 1,400 hit points, they can just melt. If there's a big crit from a Sven that happens to have God Strength enabled, 1 or 2 swipes, if they're in cleave range, they will just die utterly and completely. So I like that choice by them. Sylar has the Mantodon now farming up. I'm really sniffing lifesteal. I suspect we may see a Helm of the Dominator into a Satanic. Not for sure, but I think that would be a wise choice for them. Still hanging on to that casual vitality booster. We'll see what Zhao 8 wants to build that into, if anything. I mean, he could go straight up for a heart and just try to be just the unkillable master of beasts. Ags is complete on Invoker, so he did decide to go ahead and build the point booster into that. Didn't talk a whole lot about the Midas he picked up. It's not really worth talking about. I mean, it's becoming more and more common for heroes that really need a full inventory to maximize their effectiveness in the late game to get that up. So that doesn't bother me, didn't bother me, and didn't even really register in my mind enough to have even mentioned it. Probably should have, so my apologies to you viewers. This whole solo casting thing, still something I'm working on. It is the purpose of the RepCast, by the way. More so than anything, outside of just loving Dota and wanting to cast and watch more Dota. RepCast, my attempt to improve as a caster, both as a solo caster and just in general. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being patient with me and for tuning in for these RepCasts. They're a lot of fun to make, and hope you guys enjoy watching them as much as I enjoy making them. So Rosh is about to be back up, and they have opted to just go ahead and turtle out. Here he comes. Bingo. Big boy is up. The DK is in position as well. Now this is going to be all about initiation. This is an arena in which Sven could conceivably thrive. If he manages to catch 2 or 3 caught in the Roche pit, one good Stormhammer locks them in place, goes God Strength, using that cleave to just chop wood. They are going to smoke up. They're going to take the long way around, all the way through the Dire Side Secret Shop. I'm going to try and use the Dire Side advantage to their advantage, try to turn it against the previous owners, and LGD with very good instincts. Backing up, and yeah, now they're going to be spotted. With Zhao 8 there on the high ground, perfect guy to have there, tanky with a good counter initiation if they decided to try and fight. DK now going to be forced to pull back, and LGD using that ridge line to control the Roche pit pretty effectively. They want to fight. Sentry's going to go down just to make sure there are no wards keeping an eye on them. Another sentry goes down. Not going to find anything. Very strategic play out of both of these squads. Two teams that know each other quite well, have played each other in a number of circumstances. And DK forced all the way back across the river onto the Radiant side. Waiting to see if and when LGD wants to go ahead and try to make a fight of it. DK moving back towards the road to the Roche pit. They have a gem up as well, so ward's not going to be the biggest concern from them. Leshrac has gotten himself a set of drums, so that's going to help his team as a whole, of course, make him a little bit tankier and tougher to kill, allow him to do a little bit more damage than he might be able to otherwise. Back to LGD, still hovering around the Roche pit. They're going to be spotted by Invoker's Forge Spirits. Let's see how they want to do this. Rubik's looking for a target. Comes down and counter wards using that gem that I just mentioned. Taking a look at Sylar. He's actually going Butterfly. Actually already has his Eagle Song up. And they're going to check that with the Sunstrike. basically just a big standoff. At one point or another, someone's going to have to commit. LGD's going to go ahead and move in. DK now making their way back over. Hawk's going to be taken out immediately, so no vision for them. Roche at about half health now. Ice Path's going to go out. Here we go. Bernie's going to move in. He's going to be caught with the Ice Path. There's a... And oh, what a huge reverse polarity on Burning. He's locked in place in the macro pyre, doing good damage, but yeah, they played that perfectly. LGD played that completely perfectly. Sven rushed up, was initiated upon, caught out. We saw the BKB, how it didn't nullify what LGD was able to spend on him. Beastmaster using the roar, the reverse polarity. Kept him standing in the macro pyre. Macro pyre didn't do any damage with the BKB up, but they kited him. You just saw LGD after the stun wore off. Just spread out and fan out, and there was nothing that Burning could do. And yeah, this, you know, it feels wrong to be questioning the decision-making of a legend like Burning. But from an objective point of view, I don't get DK's playstyle this game. I just flat out don't get it. If you wanted to play a 1v5 farmer that you would rely on to just carry your team completely through the late game, there are so much better options. Like, hell, Luna is a much better option. We got to look at it there. We can already see. I mean, she picked up a triple kill, due in large part to the glaives, not to mention the base damage. She has completed her butterfly as well. Net worth, she's now 4,000 ahead of Sven, which, to put it more precisely, she's 33% of Sven's net worth ahead of Sven at this point. That's how far ahead she is. And yeah, if you wanted to just farm up and only be moderately active, Luna would have been a better choice. Anti-Mage, I mean, the hero that has made you famous would have been a better choice if you're Burning. I just really don't get DK's choice to sit on this Sven and treat him like a late-game agility carry. He is not a late-game agility carry. To get the most out of him, you have to make use of him in the mid-game. Otherwise, you're really just wasting your lineup and your composition. Enough about that. Reaver picked up on Zhao 8. He will be going for a heart. BKB's now done on Yao. That makes him just that much more lethal. Sylar, as mentioned, to complete the butterfly. And here we go. They're going to rush up. Fresh Aegis on Sylar as well. Burning's going to be there. Illusion tossed up in the air. Sylar doing damage from afar. And they're going to be able to sit and spam this out for quite some time. Illuminate dodged by most of DK, so dodging that bullet. Waiting on another creep wave. Ult's going to be popped by Keeper. Burning, sitting up front. Gonna have to try real hard to not get caught here. MMY. Oh, wow, he's gonna be roared upon and engaged upon. Off comes the Stormhammer as well. He's gonna rush down Zhao 8. But there's the reverse polarity. Burning locked in place. Black Hole, though, gonna counter it. He manages to channel it the entire time. The Aegis is gone. However, Burning, the entirety of DK's damage at this point is gonna drop to the glaives of Sylar. Sylar back up off the Aegis. DK trying to force them out. More Illuminate spam. Stormhammer comes out from a fresh buyback on this Finn. Super and Panda, gotta be careful. Super gonna eat another Illuminate. Off goes the Eclipse. Gonna use the Manta to allow the Illusions to buy them time to retreat. So DK manages to defend the home front at least a little longer, keeping it together. Not too bad of an engagement, and I think that comes down to Zhao 8's decision to initiate on the Leshrac. That makes no sense to me. Leshrac, I mean, I understand the value of taking him out of that fight, but that spell is so high value for LGD. And he's been doing this all game, and I questioned whether this was going to be the case or not. In theory, he should be serving as a hard counter to Enigma. And the reason, by far, that DK was able to turn that fight around was Enigma got the black hole off, and there was nothing there to knock him out of it. He channeled it for the full duration. Without that, there's the roar that was stolen. Now they're going to come up. Oh, this could be a mistake. Skewer all the way back. Panda's going to drop immediately. Burning's there. He's gone Hulk. But the BKB not enough. Just look at him melt. The damage is too much out of LGD. Biting off more than they could chew there. DK using the roar, and that... if you play Dota, as I'm sure most of you do, I think we've all been in that situation. You see a hero out by himself, you spend a high-value spell, but the rest of your team's not in position to engage optimally. But they went ahead and went for it anyway. Now Super going to take an Illuminate, and yeah, he's going to Yule's himself up into the air. That's going to buy him some time and not enough. The Skewer's there to finish him off. Actually, Beastmaster gets the kill there. That's a mega kill, and the GGs come out. The GGs come out. DK taken out by LGD. This was game 1 of this best of 3. Again, you can find the entire series in the in-game Dota 2 store, casted by LD, good buddy of mine. Much love to you, LD. Sorry to be stealing your thunder, son, but couldn't go without casting at least one of these games. But yeah, looking back on it, it just kind of blows my mind that DK's playstyle did not maximize their composition at all. And LGD, despite occasional questionable decisions as well, just able to capitalize on it. They end up rolling 20-9. Look at the goal graph, finishes up 10,000 in their favor, same with the experience. But yeah, let this be a lesson, kiddos. Sven is awesome. He's a great hero. He is very well deserving. That first pick, first ban status, most teams accord him now. But you have to get more done with him than just farming him. Once again, thanks for being here for the RepCast. And I'll have the still shot of the scoreboard coming up momentarily with all the info you need about this RepCast. This is RepCast number 3, RepCast number 4 coming your way in just about 24 hours, since I got to make up for lost time. Thanks again, guys. And that's another RepCast in the books. Hope you guys enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed making it. You can find links to my other media as well down in the video description. Hope to have you back in the future. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll be releasing future RepCasts, and every Friday I'll be answering viewer mail via my mailbag segment. So make sure you don't miss a bit of that action. Go ahead and hit subscribe here on YouTube, and hope you'll follow me on Twitter as well, on Facebook. And again, you can find all of those links right below the video. Until then, take care. See you soon.